So, Jason, I don't think this is food related. I heard from a source that you were turned up in Highland Park last night. Is that true or false?
I went to friend of the show, Sam Jane's house, but I did not get turned up. I had a couple glasses of wine and a yuzu beverage.
There was nothing else consumed that would make you feel like this?
Well, I did eat some Mexican food yesterday. Mm-hmm. It was probably not the best thing to put in my body, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. I felt fine up until literally 10 minutes ago.
Are you saying that the thought of podcasting with me makes you sick to your stomach? Because that's kind of what it's starting to feel like.
I don't know. Like I was feeling, maybe it was like 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, I was feeling really cold, and then I had the heater on, and I had like a jacket on, and then I got too hot, and I think just like going back and forth from the cold and the hot lately, it always gets me fucked up. That's like the number one thing that makes me sick.
You're such a sensitive cat.
I am very in tune with temperatures, and now that my life partner is out of town in New York, I was talking about this with Sam yesterday. Like before, you're like, all right, my chick's out of town. I'm about to hit the club. I'm gonna go to parties. I'm gonna go do whatever the hell I want, and then when you're older and in a relationship, you're like, oh shit, I get to watch whatever I want on TV without asking somebody if they're in the mood for this. Get to eat whatever food you want without having to be like, are you in the mood for this?
Yeah.
I want that. I want soup tonight. I don't want to eat fucking soup for dinner. All that shit.
So you have COVID again, is what you're saying. Somehow this is the third time you've gotten COVID, and you don't even live in New York or you didn't even go to a BuzzFeed party this week. So I don't know how you would get this.
I don't know either. I was Sam's girlfriend, I believe, did not go to the BuzzFeed party, but I know everyone who went did get COVID.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for once in my life, I'm glad to be left off of the invite list for the Condé Nast holiday soiree. I was ready to fly back, but
I don't have any symptoms, and I don't think I've ever had COVID.
I found that impossible, but sure.
I know, right? It doesn't make no sense, but I've been tested 4,000 times.
Well, I'm sorry we had to start the show this way because I was going to talk to you about some of your investments.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to see how much crypto you had because this Melania Trump NFT is launching.
Okay.
And I was thinking it could be a good investment for you.
This is an investment that I haven't seen yet.
It's breaking today. Much like the COVID media variant is what they're calling it on NewYorkMagazine.com.
Okay, so tell me what this Melania Trump NFT consists of. Does anybody know? Has anyone seen it?
Hold on.
Is it an audio based NFT? Video, image?
Do you think it's some sexy pictures of her when she was younger? Melania Trump launches her own NFT platform in first public endeavor since the White House. It's not just it's a platform.
Oh, okay.
It's called Melania's Vision.
Okay.
It embodies her passion for the arts, and it will support her ongoing commitment to children through My Be Best initiative. So this is all fake. So basically, this is money laundering.
I forgot about Be Best.
I also forgot. Also forgot about that. I guess since she can't sell illegal weapons through her cousin anymore, she's had to kind of get into a technology based platform that'll allow her to stay home with your lookalike Baron.
Shout out to Big B, my king.
Do you think Big Baron's had sex?
Oh yeah.
Do you think so?
Big Baron has definitely had sex. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have a massive body count, but he's very, very similar to a Cousin Greg style person.
Yeah.
And
damn.
I know that cousin.
You're right.
Far from a stick man. But if gun to your head, if you're like, has Cousin Greg ever been deflowered? Most people will be like, yeah, probably at some point in his life he had some weird sex a few times.
Yeah. No.
And same thing for Baron. Even though isn't Baron like a little on the young side though?
He's a little on the young side, but I think that obviously he's in the spotlight. His peers are probably like, damn, I could maybe go into the White House if I meet this dude. You know what I mean? He's got big feet. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So that's smart of Melania. Why buy the train when you can buy the rails? And that's investment 101.
No, it's investment 101. So I didn't know she was such a a bullish investor on the forefront of these emerging technologies, and you know, I would love to hear her say blockchain in her accent. So I'll wait. I'll wait for that.
She thought the block was something different, and
yeah. Wait, we spell block BLOC where I come from. I don't understand why there's a K on the end of this.
she's like, I do have a company that builds chains for prisoners, but you're saying you put them onto block?
Oh shit.
I have a chain startup. You're like, oh, what do you guys do? You know, mostly stainless steel, but we have some aluminum as well as sustainable one as well. Maybe that's what Melania should really start getting into, is sustainable handcuffs, shackles.
Yeah, Melania Trump is on the forefront of biodegradable handcuffs and batons because she is in tight with, of course, the police department, the FBI from her time in the White House. So she's able to kind of get some government contracts. We're trying to get How Long Gone would love a government contract. So if you guys out there, you know, work with any, we could do something for you guys, and we're happy to clean the money through How Long Gone LLC. No problem.
Yeah, there are. I remember Dan Allegretto, when he was on the podcast, he was asking us if we were sponsored by some various government weapons contracts and some Skunk Works Black Ops style you know, weapons manufacturers, and we had a laugh.
But the joke's on him, because we're looking to sign some contracts in 2022, and I don't care how much blood is on our hands. You know what I mean? It's nothing for me.
Public facing, we'll just say aerospace, but you know, those who know that you know, we're not building uranium plants. We're just kind of building like the little screw that you have to screw the uranium onto the warhead.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be responsible for that one necessary part that you can't bomb someone without. But if you get yourself one of those extremely durable, thick threaded, How Long Gone screws, your warhead will hit its target, no questions asked. We guarantee.
And that's
it.
And shout out to a friend of the show, Benjamin Edgar, who helped us. It's a collab. We collaborated with him.
Yeah, exactly. He milled it himself. Actually, I was so inspired by his incense holder. I was like, do you mind making some screws for us to help war criminals? And he said, absolutely. That's why we're friends. That's why we're friends.
Once we saw his forged CNC milled incense holder, we were like, yo, let's do, I'd love to pick your brain about, about some other items. You know, right now we're calling them home goods, but some other items. He has the technology, he has the eye for it.
Instead of asking him for his factory connects, we decided it would be better and more tasteful to just do a straightforward collab. You know what I mean? Because you can't really ask people for their sources when it comes to production. It's kind of poo-pooed on.
Uncouth.
It's uncouth. So there is a nice profit split. Ben is, of course, lining his Benjamin Edgar jean pockets with some nice green ducats provided by How Long Gone and all of our deep connections into the military state of the United States.
And shout out to the whole Raytheon family, baby.
Yeah. And also shout out to the Raycon family. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want to forget, because I'm using Raycon earbuds right now to record this podcast.
Yeah, this holiday season, give the gift of Raycon.
This isn't even sponsored. This is just my love of earbuds.
Yeah, for the Apple AirPods, if you buy them now, are you going to get them before Christmas? Probably not. Supply chain issues, that's a whole thing. But Raycon, they don't even know what a supply chain is.
No.
They're already, like, if you go to their website, they're already like, this doesn't ship. Like, period. So, you know, taking a page out of Soldier Boy's book.
Exactly. I mean, Soldier Boy did everything first. He probably had a government contract before we will.
Yeah, Soldier's been buying the rails, not riding them, leaving us in his wake.
You know, I feel pretty good today. Actually, I had to do a.
Didn't you get a little rehab PT from an old friend of the show?
I went to Burbank and I tapped in with the goat Pickle Rick, and that motherfucker. By the way, I noticed his forearms.
Bro, he's jacked.
My God. His forearms look like my calves, and I know you guys have seen those because I wear shorts as often as possible in every photo, and you love to comment on my sock tan line. Pickle Rick put his motherfucking thumbs in me, and it was a nice, quick 2.5 hour session.
Rick, if anything, he goes rounds.
No, he goes rounds. Rick,
he doesn't stop when the timer goes off. He stops when the job is done, and America needs more of that.
Exactly, that's something to aspire to. But yeah, my ankle I think it's feeling better. I mean, like a day or two after that, your body, I feel like, is a little bit in shock from the intensity of the whole thing. Of course. I had a rare Hunter After Dark session last night because my work schedule was just too packed. Because we did some taping yesterday.
Oh yeah, we did
in the morning at an iconic Hollywood institution, Amoeba Records, which was very fun for both of us, I think. I think that Jason was in a little bit of a foul mood, but once he found Sublime on vinyl, I could see him perking up. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. I was in a foul mood, not to bring it back, but because of supply chain issues.
What? Oh, really?
Adele eating up all the vinyl processing plant, real estate.
You couldn't get that new Jack White on Gatefold, and I know that's upsetting.
Oh yeah, only the old stuff. But we filmed Amoeba What's in Your Bag, where you go around the record store, you pick out a bunch of records. They could be old favorites, they could be new ones you're trying to check out, and you kind of talk about them, add some anecdotes and things like that.
Add color, Jason, in stores tomorrow.
Yeah, the whole point of it is to add some color. But every time I would be like, oh, I want to pull up this record. They never had the one record from the artist that I wanted. So
yeah, they didn't have Sam's Town by the Killers, which did kind of cut me off at the knees, but I was able to recover.
Maybe because it's Christmas time and the holiday vinyl shopping has the shelves cleared out. I don't know what it is. Maybe we should have done this earlier, but it was tough for me to find a bunch of stuff that I wanted to speak on, but I was able to pull through. Like you said, Sublime was available on vinyl, 150 gram weight.
Of course, it was $46. We won't give away any more of the picks, but it'll be on YouTube January 10th is what they're telling us. I think we're coming right after friend of the show, Snail Mail.
Yeah, first the Financial Times, now a record store. So the reign of press.
It continues. Thank you to Nick over at the New York Magazine Corporation for naming us a runner-up for the top 10 podcasts of the year, because I guess that since we're not Ezra Klein or true crime, it can't be that interesting, which I understand.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll make the actual list if we talk more about Selena.
Yeah, of course. Or we just talk more monotone and more boring. I think maybe that's something we should kind of work on.
Yeah, but much like many other recording artists, your favorite Frank Ocean, Drake as well, they're pulling out of the Grammy nomination system. They're sort of rebelling against that, and we're kind of the same way. We don't really want to be on the top 10 lists, especially the ones that are a little, New York Mag, Vulture, like that's cool, but there's so many other lists where it's like this institution that has nothing to do with us thinks the best 10 podcasts.
I disagree with you. I love institutions. I would love to be nominated for a spoken word Grammy, and thank you to New York Magazine. I really care about being on your list. Sorry that laid back TJ thinks that the Orange County Register is the only paper of record. But some of us do care about the accolades and recognition from esteemed publications full of gatekeepers, and I am one of those people.
Much like the Oscars and the Grammys, like nobody who really, it's all sort of like
don't compare our podcast to her.
Like when you see who actually wins these awards, it's sort of like, oh, we're kind of shedding light on something that needs to be shed upon. Like it's not necessarily the best movie of the year, but they deserve it. And I don't disagree with any of that. I think a beautiful part about awards for things like that is to help signal boost a film or a director or an actor or whatever who is never going to be as successful as a Tom Cruise or an Angelina or whatever it is. So at least they can get this something. And a lot of other pods out there need that more than us because we've, frankly, just been killing it. It's been really cool.
It's been really cool. No, but we appreciate New York Magazine. The Financial Times story about podcasts based around friendship is out in print this weekend. And luckily I'm a subscriber. So I'll have a copy of that to share with you, Jason.
I don't think you're a subscriber of the Financial Times, Chris. Are you being facetious, or is that
No. I subscribe to the Weekend for the How to Spend It supplement. It's one of the best magazines being made today. It's not a joke.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. How to Spend It. What is that?
It's the supplement of the it's the How Financial Times version of T Magazine, basically edited by Joe Ellison. There's some great stuff in there every week.
Mm-hmm. Some, the financial guys, they like to have a little fun too, right?
Yeah.
We made all this money. We got to spend it somehow, right?
Exactly. They keep cocaine in business.
You should check out this my 38-foot Chris Craft. Check one of those out. All the new helicopters are coming out this year.
No, you're thinking of the Rob Report. That's a different magazine, actually. But you can check that out at the Barnes and Noble at the Grove next time you're over there.
Damn, I was just there a couple days ago at Cheesecake.
We should introduce our guest today though, because we're crossing the ocean yet again, and we're tapping into the worst city in the world, Berlin.
It's a transatlantic voyage.
It is a transatlantic voyage. Our boy Sven Schumann is the co-creator and co-editor, I guess, of The Talks, which is a great interview website that's been around for quite a while, and they get everybody under the sun to talk to them, and it's been a favorite of mine for years. They have a new book out, No Ideas Final: Quotes from the Creative Voices of Our Time, and that is with Phaidon, and that is available everywhere you buy books now.
And yeah, when we say that he's talked to everyone, truly everyone, we were like, hey man, like, what is the way that you would like get some new audience members, new listeners when you're starting out a pod? And he's like, oh yeah, I guess, we had like, Mick Jagger. That was like a good one. And we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck, bro? But no, I mean, Sven is quite charming. You'll see.
Yeah, he's a good sport, a good guy. Interviewed a lot of food people, Francis Mallman, Ottolenghi.
This is one of my favorite guys because I have a few friends like this where I'm checking out the Instagram, scroll down a little bit, and, it's him at 16 in a Stephen Klein shot Prada campaign, because you're like, damn, this guy looks pretty good for his age. And you're like, oh, this guy was professionally hot when he was younger, and he's aged gracefully into it. And that's something that unfortunately was not available to me.
The model to interviewer pipeline,
yes, yeah, exactly,
is a pipe that you did not have access to.
No. That I had to call a plumber, and he said, "I'm sorry, we can't work on this." But yeah, let's cross the pond, and we'll talk to Sven. Sven, how are you, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming to us? What part of Europe are you in?
I'm in Berlin.
Oh no. Berlin's an ongoing topic on this podcast because it's my least favorite city in the world.
In the world? That's a big statement.
Globally,
in the entire planet.
That may be a little bit of an overstatement, but I didn't have a good time there. But we've equated that to my age and lack of partying as two of the major issues that I had. But you're not from there, are you?
No, I'm not from here, but I've lived here for the last, 15 years or so. But I assume if this is the worst city you've ever been to, you've never been to any other city in Germany then.
Yeah, that's actually true. Now you make a good point.
So Chris thinks Germany is the worst country on the planet. Berlin just happens to be a popular destination in that country.
Yeah. Well, so rank your worst German cities for us, if you don't mind?
I actually don't know that many because I literally never really traveled around. It's like I grew up in Munich.
Okay.
And Munich is really pretty but super conservative.
I thought Munich was like kind of chic though, on the low. Is that not true?
Yeah, in a really conservative kind of way.
What do you mean by conservative? Do you mean they're like Republicans, or do you mean like everybody's a little buttoned up?
I think it's more like aristocrats. Like it's like full
cool.
of. Yeah, it's not that cool.
This is all conservative chic is literally Chris's Twitter bio. So none of the stuff you're saying is derogatory at all to him.
I know you think this is bad, but what you're telling me is sounding pretty good. So continue. What's the winter like? What's the winter like in Munich? You know what I mean? Really sell me on it.
It's actually, the winter is much better than here. Here, the winter is like, it's gray and cold and dark. Like, it's basically like bright for like 4 hours a day, and the rest of the time it's pretty depressing. While there, you at least get some snow, like a couple times a year, I would say.
Yeah.
And you get like the actual like sky comes out. But besides that, and you get a lot of people with like Woolrich coats. That would be Munich.
You seem like the kind of guy who's pretty good on the slopes. Is that a safe assumption to make?
Not really. Not entirely. I mean, I used to go skiing when I was a kid, but I can't get myself to like make the effort of going somewhere, getting all the gear, getting dressed, being cold, all of this kind of like sound.
I think the gear is the fun part. I thought you strap the skis on top of the Porsche. You know what I mean? You throw the helmet and the Gucci goggles in the passenger seat. And you just head up to the mountain. I don't see what the problem is here.
I mean, I have two kids, so think about going to the mountains into the snow with those. Forget it.
Damn, bro, we got a couple dads in a row on this podcast, man. Jesus Christ. You got two kids. You don't look that old either. I got to say, you look good. You look young.
Yeah, and they're like 18 and 49. No, I'm just kidding. And they're no, they're still pretty small. They're only like 8 and 5.
You look like you had your 8-year-old when you're maybe 10 years old, because you look about 18.
I was a really early bloomer.
Okay.
You know, in Europe, Jason, they look at sex differently. They kind of start a little younger than us.
Drinking age is earlier, fucking age is earlier.
Those two things might be intertwined if you really think about it, Jason. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I get all fucked up and I'm like, I gotta start a family, dude.
After 10 pints with the guys and some mulled wine, all I can think about is starting a family.
Yeah.
You know, that's where my head goes too.
So Sven, do you enjoy the music of Berlin?
Not particularly.
Okay. Okay.
I don't actually like any of it. I'm just miserable here.
Sven, are you in jail? I just want to double check. Blink twice if you need us to break you out of Berlin.
No, the music, I mean, it's been a long time that I actually like engaged in nightlife here. Pretty much everybody because of COVID. But I think for me, it's been like an extra like 5 to 10 years on top of that. And the techno music was never really mine. Somehow I like needed somebody with a guitar or singing or something.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. You're on my side because you're giving me a little bit of a Richard Ashcroft vibe. So I was hoping that you also enjoyed the music of the Verve.
He's also giving me minimal techno DJ look as well. You know, he's got a long sleeve black shirt on, some slick back bob haircut.
Sven is giving something for both of us, Jason, which makes him a great guest, really.
Yeah. You because Chris needs music with guitars in it only. And I need guys who look like you, who are using a weird European mixer that costs 7,000 euros.
Yeah.
And you don't do ketamine every day, but it's a pretty big part of your life.
You know, he's doing some experimental parenting over there. The laws are a little different in Berlin, so you can get a little crazier with the parenting.
I mean, you got to spice it up. It's like I've been home so much with them that like at some point, it's like you got to get it going.
Exactly.
Yeah, just do a bump for daddy. You just gotta chill out, man. Sometimes those kids are going crazy, and some families they'll put a little bit of schnapps on in their bottle or something like that. But you got to do something a little stronger.
I think this was like a really German thing, but this is like 100 years ago. The schnapps in the bottle kind of thing.
Yeah. We do that here, but where I'm from, it's a little bit of Jack Daniels, because I'm from Atlanta. So we're more proficient with the dark liquors, so you put a little nip in the bottle. I don't think
Chris be drinking brown.
I don't think my parents did that, and that explains a lot about me, but they probably, my dad is the calmest guy on earth, and he did put his hand through the drywall because I wouldn't shut up, which is an ongoing theme. I don't know if have you ever punched a wall because your kids wouldn't shut up, or you're pretty mellow?
No, I think my kids are actually pretty easy. I'm not that mellow, but my kids
good.
are actually pretty easy. Like the thing of like the crying part was never like that was never a problem really. Luckily, because I'm sure that would fucking kill you.
Yeah, I guess German people aren't really big criers. They're more murderers, I guess.
I'm not sure if that counts for infants, but
Look, your kids aren't strong enough to kill you, but they have thought about it, and they're kind of plotting.
they've tried.
Every day that passes, they get a little bit stronger. So keep an eye on those tots.
Yeah. They've tried. I mean, I got a really nice black eye once. Really, like I thought that it actually broke my face because one of my kids woke up in the middle of the night and he's like sat up in bed and then decided to go back to sleep, but by going back to sleep, just going, fuck. And it literally almost knocked me out. It was good.
Damn.
So for listeners at home, you were just kind of, he was just like laying up, like talking to you, and then slammed his head down onto the pillow.
Onto my face.
But it was instead your nose.
Yeah, it was on the side of my cheek. It was more like what is this, like the cheekbone or
Damn,
whatever.
this sounds pretty hot, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I feel like it looked pretty cool. You know what I mean?
It did until I tell people how it actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, have you been in a fight before?
Yeah, this is a long time ago. I think I more wanted to just see what it's like to be punched in the face.
Yeah.
I was never a big fighter.
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm not. We're not tough guys over here. Well, Jason.
Yeah, we all like to know what it feels like to get punched in the face, and whether or not you achieve an erection, that's your own business. But
Exactly.
It probably takes you out of the mood if it happens by your own kid.
Yeah, it's a different sensation.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be given to me by a woman wearing some leather or vinyl clothing.
Yeah.
Preferably.
Vinyl's vegan, so we kind of like to lean that way, Jason.
A cruelty-free type of sexual injury.
Yeah, Jason's into cruelty-free BDSM. That's kind of his thing.
I mean, if you can help it, why not?
It's a small community, but a tight-knit community. Are you coming to us from an office or a studio, or are you at home?
This is my office. At home, this will be not really possible to record at this stage.
Sure. Because we were, they sent over. So I'm a longtime reader of the talks. Like I've been reading it since it started. I was very familiar, and then your publisher sent over the book, and then former guest of the show and friend of the show, Armand, is your boy.
Oh,
You guys grew up in Germany together, so it's all coming together on this episode.
Armand, who also be interviewing a lot.
Yeah, he'd be an interviewer as well. Yeah,
So what's up with both of you guys being friends and both having an insatiable appetite to interview people? What's the through line there?
I actually don't have that much of an appetite to interview people anymore.
Okay.
You're like, I'm all set.
So your belly is full.
My belly has been medium full. Through COVID, I developed a little bit of an appetite again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was kind of the time where like I had more time and I could use the time to speak to people that would be quite inspiring. So
okay.
That's it. I think that's the kind of use that anybody should have taken in quarantine.
But before quarantine, did you conduct, or at least try to conduct, the bulk of your interviews in person?
In the beginning, yeah.
In the beginning,
for sure.
okay.
Like, I mean, until COVID, we tried to always conduct interviews in person because there's clearly a different kind of connection between people when they see each other, when they sit across from each other, and especially like when you can see expressions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
On the phone, it's difficult. We would do it sometimes. We would never do it by email.
Yeah, sure.
Because by email, it's just like you would have to go back and forth, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's not really an interview. And most of the things really just develop out of speaking to people, as you guys probably figured out.
I used to be the same way with my interviewing and podcasting and recording with people. It 100% had to be in person. Otherwise, I thought it was stupid. But during COVID, we started this podcast 100% remotely over Zoom or FaceTime, and it ended up being my preferred method. And I think that's for more personal reasons, because it's easier to like maybe say something that might not be offensive, but might be a little more difficult to say to a person when you're staring at them right in the face. Have you experienced anything like that?
You mean they're not as easily slapping you?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. We can bring this all back to getting punched in the face, but
it's much more difficult to strike me in the face. Yes.
I mean, we started this, and we literally would FaceTime audio people because it was, everybody was available. Everybody was kind of sitting around.
You thought this sounded like shit. You should have heard the early episodes.
Yeah. You should have heard the earlier ones. But I think that everybody prefers in person, but now, even though it's not impossible, it just feels like laborious in a way. Even though I think we all agree it's like the right way to do it. You know what I mean? Is it necessary? I think is what you start to ask yourself.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that necessary actually, because the interaction through Zoom, like as long as you see the other person, it's actually all right. And I think also a lot of people are getting used to the fact that they're simply not willing to drive anywhere to meet anybody. You know, like
I am simply unwilling. To participate.
Making time, like when you see a calendar invite and you're like, oh, I gotta hop on the Zoom and do a podcast or an interview, you're like, oh shit, I gotta build my day around it. But yeah, if you have to factor in driving and traffic, and you start to be like, hey, I'm doing you a huge favor by going to your house or your hotel to do an interview.
Yeah.
And that maybe, you could start off an interview by really resenting the host.
That's true.
Jason, we were looking through your back catalog, and obviously the back cover of the book, which is done in a nice blaze orange. Your body count is crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? The names, glitterati. I mean, just the most important people. We've had some, relative heavy hitters on this podcast, but I think you're a guy we should come to for some advice, maybe. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we're doing pretty well, but like I think you've kind of like
we've both interviewed Allison Roman. Sure, there's probably a couple other
crossovers
that we have both had on our media platforms, but I mean, just going through the list of names that you've spoken with. For a lot of them in the culinary arts, which is impressive, but Chris's favorite, Aaron Sorkin, like I said, Alan Rowe. I mean, Andrea Bocelli.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up. Anthony Hopkins, for God's sakes, and I'm not even done with the A's yet.
Yeah.
Sir Ben Kingsley, Sir Benedict Cumberbatch.
Are you the only guy are you guys the only people interviewing in Germany? Or is that like kind of is it like a must stop on the tour, on the press tour, or like were you traveling to do a lot of this? Like
I think there was in the beginning, there was like Germany was usually like a must stop for like a lot of film companies to promote movies.
Yeah.
Like it was really like everybody would come through Berlin, and then it's like we got like with the talks, is that we got really lucky. Like it was really like it was sort of the time when we started. It was kind of the time when these like niche publications online would pop up that we just randomly kind of were one of them.
It was early day. No, I remember it was early days, and then
how early are we talking about? 70s?
It was 1967.
My first interview, John F. Kennedy, God rest his soul, but he was a cool guy to talk to. I've heard of I've talked to other podcasts about this same thing, where they'll have a podcast that is no bigger or smaller than mine, but the amount of famous guests they get on is shockingly upsetting. And I would ask them, like, what did you do? How did you get how do you get these big guests? And they would often say the same thing, which is all you have to do is get one big one on there, and then the rest will follow. Is that sort of
this is
a pattern you've recognized?
This is definitely how we started too. It's like in the very beginning we had like we were contributing to other magazines. So
that's what I wanted to get to. I mean, because a friend of ours that's been on the show, he does a newsletter called Blackbird Spy Plane, Jonah, and he gets all these crazy guests, and it's partly because his background is in journalism and he has relationships and he's interviewed. Are you in a similar boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we used to contribute, like we used to work, like write for different versions of like, Vogue and GQ and these kind of things. And we were able to like in the very beginning kind of make deals with publicists of like, hey, we get you a story in Vogue, but we want to use it for the talks, like a different section of it that has nothing to do with the film that you guys want to promote, but that will give you like an exposure for like, the person and what their creative process is kind of thing. And luckily, like we were able to convince like a handful of really, really good people to start with. So I think the first ones included, like I think we launched with like Mick Jagger and Valentino, and like we had
Jason, this guy just came on this
Mick
podcast.
Jagger.
He came on this podcast to shit on us in this accent. That's what he came to do.
Not at all. It was just, I mean, these were these were all lucky things.
We asked.
But also, I mean, like, fucking Jimmy Fallon can't get half of these people.
No, but
No,
okay.
that's true.
So with Mick Jagger, for example, like the way that it works is like that guy never gives any interviews, and that guy would not want to talk to us either, probably. But every 10 years there's a documentary where he's going to be forced to do some press.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky in that kind of thing, it's like that's how people like Mick Jagger don't really come along that often.
Sure.
So,
No,
okay.
I mean, I think that because we have a similar approach where we're not usually that interested in talking about whatever is being promoted. You know what I mean? I mean, to some extent, of course,
which is good.
Like we talked to Mike Mills, about his new movie, and it's like half the podcast is about his new movie. And I think that's fine because that's like, we're not film buffs. So we're asking kind of, questions that I feel like are relatable. You know what I mean? Like on what we thought the movie meant, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I think that is also a key to keeping people coming back, is it's like if they're on like a junket or a press tour, they're done. They don't want to talk about this shit anymore. So if you offer anything else, if you want to talk about their bench press routine or their fucking kids or how they like their coffee, it's anything is better to them than the album or the movie.
Exactly. I mean, that's generally like, that was always the goal, is to just make sure that you're not asking the same shit that the other guys that had spoken to them for the whole day in 20-minute slots have asked.
Because when you're getting people like, I mean, I feel like we don't really get into that too much, but if you're getting people on this level, it really is like they're doing 20 minutes on the hour, for 3 or 4 days.
It really depends on how it's set up. It's like sometimes you get lucky and somebody recommends you to somebody else, and they like, like they have an hour time and you can choose when you want to do it, as long as they're not shooting or something like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times it's also that like they have certain schedules,
and
they're probably getting paid to do these interviews.
Yeah.
How much do you pay your guests?
There's usually like a $60,000 fee or so that everybody gets.
Yeah,
a small euro stipend.
Thanks to the good people at Rolex, of course. Obviously, you're not coming out of pocket for that.
I was going to ask you, bro, because that's the other thing that I noticed about your little shit when I was following. I was like, this went from some good interviews to these guys got Rolex as the presenting sponsor. And over here at How Long Gone, we love money. We love to make money. We do a lot of sponsorships. We do a lot of deals over here.
The good people over at Timberland make a fine work boot. but Rolexes, those guys are cool too.
It's cool too. Yeah, it's cool too. But I think that Rolex is such an interesting. It really works for what you guys are doing. It like makes a lot of sense. I think that it works for both parties. And
is that because of your tennis connection, perhaps? Because I know they do a lot of, they don't really sponsor many things, but they always sponsor tennis stuff. Just any rich guy shit in general.
The talks is rich guy shit. That's the reality. That's what he's trying. That's why I like it so much. That's why I was so into it. It was aspirational rich guy shit for me. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Fame and talent, that's pretty good, but how rich are these celebs is kind of what it boils down to.
So tell us about your partner and how you guys get along, because we're in a similar relationship. So I want to know if you guys have ever come to blows or,
no,
if you've had to accuse him of tax evasion or anything like that.
Hey, whoa, slow down.
We spent 3 years in prison together.
We bonded.
I met Johannes when I was 6 years old on a tennis court in like rural Bavaria, where my parents had a house in the Alps, and Johannes's parents would live in the like little village with like a few thousand people next door. And that's how we met and became friends. And then later on, it came pretty naturally that we started to work together. I think it also had to do with the fact that we moved to Berlin together.
Yeah.
And there was simply no work. Like there was like, I could have like Berlin was so poor at the time too, that like I could have gotten a job and be paid like, 1,500 euros. And then, it was probably a better choice to just accept the fact to not make any money for a few years, but to do your own thing.
So you could either work at a petrol station, or the only other job listing on the bulletin board was interview Mick Jagger. So you went.
It was a really tough choice.
I guess I could bartend one night a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this is looking. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, yeah. I think that how do you guys do? Because people ask Jason and I this a lot about like the division of labor. You know what I mean, between partners, and like who does what and how you fell into those roles.
So we've always kind of been like, I've been more taking part of the editorial and like strategic kind of planning of what the talks editorial wise looks like, and Johannes has been taking care of more the business side of things, which is really good because at least this way we're not kind of, we're not fighting for the cookies.
Of course, yeah. I'm kind of the money guy over here as well, so I understand Johannes's plight. You know what I mean? Because some of us love to make art, but we also love to count money. And Jason unfortunately is more of a pure artist and an audiophile. So I have to kind of pick up the slack when it comes to the wire transfers.
Every creative needs a counterpart for that. And luckily, Chris's dad grew up as an accountant, so he's able to kind of become mine. And it's a relationship that works out quite well. Because I don't really have time for that kind of day-to-day stuff of managing the books.
Yeah, you're so busy.
Yeah, I mean, our lives are so intervened. Like we've been friends for 30 years now, more than 35 years. So, I guess we speak about most of the decisions anyways.
Yeah.
In a very natural kind of way. Like it's not so much that we like sit down and do like editorial planning. It's more that we like talk about what we want to do and
go do it.
The plan for the next few weeks. Yeah.
I didn't know you were a big tennis guy, so let's talk about it, Chief.
Yes.
Because you look like, not only do you look like a Richard Ashcroft and a minimal techno DJ, but you could pass for a 200th ranked player on the tour.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah, so I grew up playing tennis a lot. Like I think from the age of like 6 till I was like basically till I got interested in girls.
Sure.
Then I would not continue to go with my parents to the country house where there wasn't that much to do, and we would go to the tennis court all the time. I played with my brother, and he was like 3 years older. We started playing at the same time, so I basically had like the perfect kind of like the perfect person to play with all my childhood until. Then I stopped at 14. I would play like maybe once every 5 or 6 years. And then a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago or so, I realized that like, shit, like I need something in my life that like actually makes me happy and turns my head off.
Sure. Yes, we've all gotten to that point.
Yeah. And I randomly like got a call from a friend who was like, hey, do you want to go? Like I have a trainer. Do you want to come play tennis at night? And from that moment on, I've been playing 3 times a week for the past 5 years.
Now, how was it returning to the game? Because I've played with people like you and they're sneaky. They're like, oh yeah, I played when I was a kid, a little bit or whatever. And then you get out there and they're monsters. Cause it's just like, I feel like it comes back to you pretty quickly,
It comes back pretty quickly. Plus that I realized that I have an advantage that I actually think about shit now. Like when I was 14, I would literally just like, I would not think about the game. Like I would just play and try impossible shots and like, like whatever comes around. Like it was super intuitive. While now it's like, I think I have a different perspective on things. And like you actually kind of try to think of like, it's like, how am I going to go about this? Like, what is the right
Yes, we call that tennis intelligence, I
had none of that when I was younger.
But I think that's kind of the point of it, because one of our Jason and I's friends, who is like our de facto coach, like he played very seriously, and then he taught kids, and then he played at NYU and the whole thing, and just the way he approaches it is so different than anyone I've ever been close to. It's just like really, really mental, and it's really like. It reminds me of, I guess, because I played sports when I was a kid, kind of same thing until I discovered like punk and skateboarding, and I was like, okay, I'm good on this. You know what I mean? And but it is like, I think tennis more than a lot of things is truly like fundamental shit. Like you have to just like, he will make us do ladders and fucking move our feet. That's all he cares about. Like he's like, you guys aren't even ready to hit the ball, basically. You know what I mean? like no, I think we're pretty good. He's like, no.
No.
He doesn't let us hit. We only hit practice balls with him. He only lets us hit green dots. He won't let us hit a real ball. He's like, you're not ready for that. It's been 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's a quite humbling experience. But so in Berlin, are you playing indoors on clay?
No, we're playing indoors on hard courts on like carpets, and outdoors it's like East German tennis courts. I've never seen anything before. Like I started playing here. Like
what's the vibe of an East German? It sounds like it's post-war. Like what do you mean?
Yeah, it's like a GDR. It's like a GDR tennis court, which is basically it's fake grass with just normal sand on top of it.
What?
Yes, I'm not kidding.
Fuck.
Wait, so hold on.
So you guys play on carpet and sand?
I'm starting to believe you're in jail again after this. That tennis court sounds like time on the yard to me.
I mean, it does, and it looks kind of like it too because it has this like massive brutalist building right behind it. It used to be the club that I play at used to be the tennis club that was owned by the Bayer pharmaceutical company. So it's pretty gray and German.
Yeah, I think when you get into that side of it, you really start to meet people, and that's what people say they play golf for. You know what I mean? Shit like that, like fake sports. It's like because all you're doing is socializing. But like
it's called networking.
I think it's called networking. Yeah, it's called networking. But have you? I mean, I think that the meeting people part of it is pretty nice. You know what I mean? Especially, I mean, I don't know how competitive you are. You look like you're maybe a killer out there.
I'm pretty competitive. I can be pretty, but like not as bad as I used to be. So.
Are you a racket breaker? Because I feel like you've broken a racket in your life.
I have, but not since I picked it up again.
So only in your angsty teenage years.
Yeah, but I really like my record, so I can't and I only bought it simply for the look of it, so like I don't want to trash it.
Wow, you and Chris have a lot in common.
Well, I mean, look, man, it's I think tennis is such a aesthetically beautiful sport. You know what I mean? So if you care about stuff like that, it's pretty easy to find things that you like. You know,
Sven, what other stuff do you buy just for the look of it? I know wine is a popular one. They'll just buy it if they think the label looks cute. Are you that kind of guy?
I buy books, and a lot of them also by the look of it. I end up like picking them up at some point, but like I had like over the past 10 years, I've been buying lots of books.
No, you guys got to work on the reading them part. I get it.
Yeah, they're not really readable books. They're more like books to like look at pictures.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
Jason's back. He's not a strong reader in German or English.
Yeah, love picture is good though. You know what I mean?
What's up with I need to confront you about the German cuisine as well, you know, because it's not, you guys are doing some funky shit over there. And, you know, I don't know.
Come on, Chris.
I just, you know,
the work that they've done with mustards is amazing.
They're on the front lines of mustard innovation. That is true.
Absolutely.
For the last 500 years. But are you cooking for the family or is your wife cooking or what's the vibe?
My wife cooks a lot. And she cooks really healthy. She's like super extreme. Like she cooks a lot of vegan food, and she's a nutritionist. So,
damn, you got a nutritionist wife. I like this. That's a good vibe. That's.
I didn't know they had those in Germany.
Yeah, my wife is Canadian. That's why she lived in New York for 10
my
years.
Man. My man. He knows where to go to find the good ones. He already knows the vibe.
This was not really the place to find a wife.
Luckily, they have Instagram in Germany, right?
Exactly.
The Explore page.
Oh, that's funny. So your wife is super health conscious, so that helps you keep this svelte figure.
Yeah, I mean,
you're eating healthy.
I have a pretty fast metabolism. I think this was never really the issue, but I eat quite healthy. Unless I'm responsible for it. Mm-hmm. If I'm responsible, I cook meat and steaks,
sausage.
What is your classic German go-to if you know you've been out at the pub with the fellas, you know what I mean? It's 1:30.
He's getting doner kebab. Yeah. But also it's illegal to be fat in Germany, so that probably helps keep the pounds down as well, right?
They have some strict laws over there.
I mean, when it comes down to cuisine, Bavarian food is killing it.
Yep.
Like that's like it's pretty heavy, but like here in Berlin, like you can't touch anything that's local. Like it's horrible. It's like weird boiled meat.
So it's the opposite of California, where all we care about is if it's local. In Germany, you're like, I don't want anything local. Import everything.
No, you want the actual produce to be local. You just don't want a local person to cook traditional food. You definitely want them.
So nowadays, Germans are asking people for their papers for a different reason, is what you're saying. Yeah. Because otherwise, I don't really want you to make me this quinoa salad. If you were born here.
Yeah. I need to see your passport if you're about to cut that avocado. I need to make sure you're not from around these parts.
Speaking of food, Sven, you have spoken with a lot of chefs. You just spoke with Yotam Ottolenghi, Cookbook God. I was very jealous. One of my all-time top dream guests is Francis Mallmann.
He I actually did speak to. Yeah.
You did speak to Malman.
I did speak to Marmon. I didn't speak to Yotam Ottolenghi, but
Okay.
Francis Marmon he's a pretty interesting guy.
Yeah, no shit.
I only spoke to him on the phone, and he was somewhere in Argentina. Like, it sounded like there was like a storm going on the whole time.
Because Malman, Jason, not only is he sick with the open fire, but he's a legendary stickman as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Sven, are you familiar with that term?
I have a pretty good idea. I think, yeah.
You might be able to parcel together what we mean by that.
I think so.
So yeah, I mean, Francis does have a reputation for, loving sex with ladies, right?
Yeah, he seems like a classic lover from a different era, Like it's all sensory. His whole life is about like sensory experiences.
I think it's like an excuse to have 3 wives or something like that,
Yeah, definitely. He's on a commune.
That's just how I am, baby. You know that. You knew that when we started this thing. So yeah, I mean, he definitely uses like, some type of elk meat as lubrication in the bedroom. Elk fat, warmed over sensual fats of a game animal.
Yeah.
Did he get into any of that when you were speaking with him?
No, but I'm pretty sure he did talk about sex quite a lot.
Really?
He always finds a way to sneak it in.
I think that's just his thing. Like, it's like, that's also how you stand out. There's no other chef who that's the main thing that they want to talk about.
Yeah, usually, you have to find out about a chef's sex life by reading a New York Times article. But it's nice for somebody to be a little bit more outright. with it
a little more
outgoing. It's not a crime to like fucking beautiful people, and I can't argue with that, Francis, as long as he's keeping his nose clean,
Yeah, but then when you're Mario Batali, things are a little bit different, they're more difficult.
Hey, we don't talk about Malto Mario like that. No. Jason's a big Mario guy. He loves Babbo. Jason actually still goes to Babbo and supports the franchise.
There's actually a great photo of Chris and Mario together. What were you doing in that photo, Chris? I've never met Mario. I think he's a good chef. I don't know if he's a great guy, but Chris, what were you doing in that photo with him?
He was making a pizza for me and explaining to me the process and the ingredients. He could tell I was a novice when it comes to the pie, and he was an expert at the time.
I think there was a photo where you guys were sharing something.
Sweat?
No, not his wife. We were sharing I think we were sharing a cone of gelato, I think.
Ah, yes, both licking an ice cream cone at the same time. That's what it was. But yeah, like I said, I haven't met Mario. Seems like a cool guy, Sven.
I have also not met Mario Batali. I actually don't know anything about him besides that he looks horrible and doesn't have the best reputation.
Well, I mean, that you bring up a good point, because you look at I'm looking at the photo of Francis Malman on the Talks website. He's a handsome guy. He's a good looking guy. He has that.
He's a pretty good.
Whatever that. I don't know what the word for it is in German, je ne sais quoi, joie de vivre, whatever that is. That's something about somebody that is, magnetic. Do you guys have a word for that?
He's got that Patagonian plush or whatever.
Patagonian plush. Is there a word in German for that feeling? I'm assuming not, but
I guess not.
You guys are a little bit more robotic with your sexual escapades, and that's fine. That's a style. It's a style that some people enjoy.
Did you live outside of Germany at some point? Did you go to college or university somewhere?
Yeah, I lived in New York. I lived in New York for I think maybe 5 years on and off. Or so.
What age were you in New York?
I came to New York when I was 20. So it's perfect.
Oh baby, that sounds envious.
Yeah.
That sounds good. But you had to go to college, or were you just hanging out?
I was just hanging out. I did an internship at a company called AR Media that my godmother hooked me up with, who basically also gave me her apartment to stay in and made it very, very easy.
What neighborhood is 20-year-old Sven staying in New York?
On Washington Square Park.
This motherfucker. I knew that was going to be the answer. I knew it was going to be too good.
So you were in Gossip Girl, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, literally. What did your hair look like then, though?
Probably look actually pretty similar. I mean, this is the longest my hair has been in like 10 years. It's just because I just can't be fucked to cut it really, but this is what it looked like when I was 20.
So you're 20 years old. You got an apartment that's too nice on Washington Square Park.
You look like you're in Interpol. You're listening to Interpol. What kind of stuff were you getting into?
How many nights a week were you going to Bungalow 8?
Yeah, 2, 3, probably. got really like when I first moved to New York, I got really, really lucky. It was very like I didn't know anybody, nothing. But I met like a few right people in the very beginning.
This sounds good, man. This sounds like, because I would say I moved to New York when I was like 25, 26, and I think I was a couple years late. Like I still had my good time, and I went to all the probably places that you went, you know what I mean, in some regards, but I feel like early 20s when things really don't fucking matter is the number one time.
I mean, I realized, I think on the first day that I was in New York, I realized that I was never going back to Munich. Like, I was never, like, this was not happening.
You saw the Jamba Juice at JFK and said, I can't leave this place. This is America's incredible. This is the greatest country in the world.
They have fresh juices at the airport.
So you're saying you're saying once you left Munich, it almost didn't matter where you went. You were like, okay, I never can go back there.
Yeah, I could never, it's just my whole worldview changed. It's like what I thought that life was like just simply wasn't true. That was just the bubble that I grew up in. And I think a lot of people have that kind of experience, especially when they come to New York, because in New York, nobody's really from New York, so everybody is friendly. At least, like, you know, like if you go out in New York, it's like you make friends pretty easy.
Yeah, I agree, because I think that the perception is that people are mean, but I think it's more like people are really just trying to survive because it's very difficult to live there. But the reality is
also they're always drunk, so they're usually
that's also true. They're friendly. No, but I found it very easy to make friends too. You know, I kind of agree with you. I think people are overall pretty friendly.
Yeah, especially in comparison. I mean, try to go to a bar here and make some friends.
No, I'm good. I tried that and it didn't work very well for me. No. So I was told that I didn't do. I'm sure you're friends with Jorg Koch from O32C.
Yeah.
Jorg was like, "Oh, you guys did everything wrong. You should have stayed with me." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Bro, I didn't know your estate was available, or we would have fucking stayed there. You didn't tell me that, so you can't tell me I made the wrong decisions when I come visit your city. If you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not really an easy city to like arrive by yourself and then figure out what to do and have a good time.
But why? So why did you settle there?
Unless you're really into drugs.
Yeah, all you need is a bicycle, drugs.
Yeah, these things come pretty easy.
Enough money for some mustard, and it's good.
You know, the best part about Berlin is the Vietnamese food. I will say, I was shocked. I was shocked to find all. I didn't know that existed there.
Oh shit, that's really depressing.
Well, I mean, you know, it was just I think it was more of just a surprise because I could never see those two cultures overlapping in any way. Mm-hmm. And then someone told me the history and like why.
Chris has a pretty narrow worldview.
Yeah. I'm just a country bumpkin.
Sven, let's talk about some musicians that you guys have interviewed. Was it you or your partner who interviewed Bjork?
I think Johannes spoke to her in the past too, but I think for this story it was one of our editors.
That's another dream guest of mine. I would love to just talk to her about fucking anything. Was that a successful chat? I haven't listened to it.
You can't listen to it. You can only listen to like a question or two.
Why is that?
I need you to help me here, Sven, because Jason's a guy who now listens to his articles. You know, because that's available in like the New York Times, New Yorker. They do that. I'm more of a traditional guy who likes to, you know, I subscribe. I get my hard copies. I plop down on the couch. I read it like a real man. But we need to get Jason, you know, back on the written word, and I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe your website can kind of flip him back.
You can try. That would be great.
Okay, so basically the interview with Bjork is text only.
It's text only. There's always like an audio sample, which like when we started, this was the only thing. Like I think we would have made the talks as a print magazine if we would have had money. But since we didn't, we started online.
Sure.
And then we thought about it's like, okay, so what can online offer that print can't? And the reason for the audio sample was that we figured it's like, okay, well, you read something a little bit different if you hear somebody's voice. If you can click on it and hear the voice, you start reading the article differently.
Okay.
So, I mean, the advantage of it not being listenable, which is probably also why it's much harder to get these kind of people on podcasts, is it's a whole different commitment to be recorded for an hour and have the conversation be one-to-one online. than to speak to somebody for an hour and have it edited down and fixed and these kind of things.
We edit and fix this podcast to an extent. I don't think we do it to the extreme that like an editor does it in a written way. But I think that I agree with you. And there's a third level to that, which is like the video element.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get that asked a lot. Like, oh, do you guys record this? Is it video? And I'm like, no. And that gives people peace of mind as well. So I think that there's three levels to the whole thing. Like, you don't have to put on
video. Nobody wants to be filmed. Like people.
No, you don't have to put on a full face of makeup to do this podcast.
Yeah, because then the commitment is also not like the hour to record it. It's like an hour and a half to get ready to like get your glam theme going and all that stuff. So it's like it becomes a different commitment, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay, so do you listen to long form interview podcasts like the one you're on right now anytime?
I do listen to some. For a long time I listened to How I Built That, or How I Built This, How I Built That.
Classic entrepreneurial podcast.
Yeah, but it ran its course, I don't know, after a little while. Well, like after quite a lot of time, actually, it did lose a little bit of its.
You're like, I don't care how you fucking built Spanx, bitch. Next.
We don't have fat people in Germany. This doesn't appeal to me at all. Yeah, I mean, I've actually never listened to that podcast. I find
there's some legendary episodes, some really cool, interesting stories, but yeah, a lot of them, it's kind of like, okay,
yeah,
you invented a fucking soup restaurant or something. Like,
I think it's like I choose more. It's not so much about the podcast. It's more that I choose for people that I'm interested in. Like I listened the other day to like a 3-hour conversation between Adam McKay and a comedian called Pete Holmes or so. I don't know who he was.
He's an LA podcast. He lives, in
big podcaster.
He lives in our
big
neighborhood.
Podcaster.
He's kind of like a dorky comedian guy, but he is good at interviewing people and he gets them to open up.
Yeah, that conversation was really great, and I didn't know who he was.
I hate him, but he's good. Because he has this kind of like aw shucks thing that I find really obnoxious, but I unfortunately think that's actually him, which is why it works. Like because he's like an actor and a comedian, I'm like, this guy's full of shit. But then you listen to enough of those, and you're like, this can't be put on.
Yeah.
It's like too dorky. Like you can't make this shit up. You know what I mean?
He made a show with Judd Apatow. No, I never seen it.
Yeah. It didn't last very long. I think it was only on for Jason. It was only on for like a season or two, maybe.
It was a couple seasons on HBO. It didn't do great, and he had a talk show, like a little late night interview show that lasted even shorter amount of time. Not for everyone, but also he's a guy who's had his own HBO show and his own late night talk show, so that's.
It's really impressive.
Very, that's something that Chris and I would like to do probably.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you have plans? Is this book is this a chapter for you guys? I mean, you're going to continue doing it, of course, but like,
is this book a chapter, Chris? That's good stuff.
I'm crazy, bro. I'm crazy, but you know what I mean? Does this feel like an accomplishment? Like, does this put like a bookend? not to do it. Does this put a book?
Good God Almighty!
Hold on. Does this put a bookend on this chapter of the talks for you?
It was nice to go through all of it. Like, I think I would have probably not been able to do it if it wouldn't have been for COVID.
No, I mean, that's the same thing for this podcast that you're on right now. It literally started because of COVID, and it was able to be, created and produced and grow into what it is right now simply because of COVID.
Yeah, of course.
Which is, bittersweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's like lots of people had time suddenly, and some people used it productive, other people not so much.
Yeah, other people in America got fat. We made a podcast. You have a nice orange book available anywhere books are sold. I mean, it's really, we're just guys that are fucking killing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we made a podcast, collected unemployment. I got fat, but I also made a podcast, and then now that the podcast is doing well, I could start losing weight and, I'm not on unemployment anymore. So
I mean, are you guys doing any promotional stuff for the book, or is it a little bit stunted because of like, you can't travel?
We're pretty stuck with it. Like, we're supposed to have a dinner here in Berlin like 2 weeks ago. This is right before like the whole Omicron shit show started. And like 2 weeks before we had to cancel because it would have, like, I think the regulations would have allowed it, but everything else got canceled around us. And then we're also like, do these kind of people really want to come to a dinner with 60 people when this kind of stuff is going around, and then is it worth it to do it?
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Sven. I would have been there. You know what I mean? I would have been there. I'm not scared of this shit.
Perfect. You hate Berlin, so that's
yeah.
Probably everybody would have gone.
Now I have another friend there, so things are looking up. But I mean, I didn't know. You know, do you guys wear masks over there? I feel like you guys are pretty anti-government. You know?
No. It's still here. I mean, like we never had to wear them on the street and stuff like that, but people do, like, you know, in all shops and all that stuff. It's still still maxed up.
Torture. It's torture. You couldn't even have your 60-person dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. At your fancy restaurant, it's a terrible.
That's fucked up. That's a big ass table, bro. That's a big ass table.
Yeah, it was supposed to be one table. That was the whole point.
Damn, we're gonna fucking film it for Nowness too. Get the drone. You guys have drones over there in Germany yet?
They got drones. They probably invented the drone.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
I mean, not one for killing, one for shooting sick ass videos.
Oh, only, of course.
Yeah, two different things. Where do you guys holiday for warm weather over there? What's your go-to?
Ibiza.
I was just in the Maldives. This is the first time that I like traveled for like.
That's quite a flight.
That was quite the flight.
How far is that?
12, 14 hours, something like that.
Did you go with the kids, bro?
I did go with the kids. Yeah.
God damn, bro, you're crazy, man. That's crazy.
Did you stay at Der Standard Hotel?
Nope. Nope.
No, he stayed somewhere nicer than that, Jason. Don't do that. Come on, bro. My man was in the big house. He had 5 bedrooms. We only needed 3.
I mean, did the kids' tutor stay there or something like that? I don't know. Did one of the drivers? I don't know.
The driver and the tutor didn't come. No, the kids had holidays, and it's shit weather here, so you can't really travel anywhere in Europe and have like them have a break and go to the beach and pool and stuff like that. So you have to travel far for that. And then normally in the summer, I mean, Italy is pretty close.
Yeah.
Mallorca is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like you do have like it's like that part of Europe is great.
I'm a big Spain guy. I didn't realize it, you know, until later in life, but it's pretty fucking nice. I mean, Maldives is too far. I don't know if I care. Is it that pretty?
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. It's like it's that picture book kind of pretty, but it's also really boring.
And you're really stuck out there. What does it feel like to be just in the middle of the fucking ocean like that?
Yeah, the kids come in handy.
To go get you another drink?
It's a double-edged sword. It's like on one side they come in handy because you're not as bored. On the other side, there's nothing to do. So like, you know, when they were younger, it's pretty repetitive kind of scenario because you go to the beach, you play with that, you do this, and there's nothing to do. You can't go, you can't go look at anything. Mm-hmm. It's like one island with a hotel in it, and that's it.
You don't seem like the kind of guy who's able to just sit on a lounge chair by the pool for 10 hours a day. You might go a little cuckoo. Is that correct?
I don't know. I think I haven't tried in so long that I think by now I probably will be able to.
How's the marijuana over in Berlin?
It's getting legalized.
Oh, great.
Apparently the new government is finally legalizing marijuana.
How is that going to affect your life personally?
Not very much.
Okay.
No,
that's cool, man. That's cool too.
I mean, Berlin is really easy with this kind of stuff. Like, this is not
a little marijuana is the least of your problems over there.
We know. That's the only reason anybody goes there.
Yeah, this is really the least of the problems. No, I mean, I actually like it. Like, you know, like I actually like it here in Berlin. It's an easy place to bitch about, but
just like LA or New York. This year I'm gonna go to Berlin. I've never been. I actually enjoy electronic dance music. I enjoy people who are assholes. I want to ride my bike around and eat shitty vegetarian food. I think it's going to be an ideal place for me. I'll make sure to hit you up and we can go.
Absolutely. I'll take you around. I'll drop you off at York's house where you can stay.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. If you need a babysitter, Jason's great with kids. He's really tall, so they're kind of fascinated with him. So you and your wife could go have a night on the town. You know.
Perfect.
Sven, I'm sure you've been asked this question before. Any dream guests you haven't had a chance to talk to? Let's do some dead and let's do some alive.
Okay, so John Bonham. I think he would have been pretty good.
Sick.
John Bonham, you said?
John Bonham.
Classic.
Very cool.
I think alive. For a long time, I wanted to talk to Jack White, but he really didn't want to.
Jack White?
Yeah.
Why do you like Jack White? That motherfucker sucks.
I do like.
I mean, he's a shredder. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think it's like for a long time I thought that like he was the only sort of guitar player that you could hear that he's playing the guitar within the first 5 seconds.
Okay, interesting point. I like that.
Oh no, that's fair. That's probably true. That's probably true.
But he really didn't want to. We've tried a couple times, and I used to mention this in interviews all the time to see like
So it'd get back to him.
Yeah. So at some point, no. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't have gotten back to him, him. But I think
Drop a little Easter egg for
no.
him.
But at some point, I sent like all the articles to his management. And was like, all right, so this is clearly the person we want to talk to, and they didn't answer. So sometimes it doesn't work.
God, fuck Third Man Records, you fucking nerds.
Fuck
man.
Jack White.
They're too busy making 7 inches in a van to do your little interview. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Jack Black better.
Jack Black.
John Bonham and
the other
Jack White. That's a twisted combination of people.
It just solidifies Sven's rocker status, Jason, and that upsets you, I think.
I
I don't know who would be now. Like Jack White, I think this was like years ago that like this was my main answer that I could just simply repeat to you guys without having to think about it.
Fuck that, Sven. Come on.
We get no respect on our own show. God damn it, Sven.
No.
All right.
Sven, what's your favorite color? Turquoise. Oh, yeah. Tiffany blue.
Yeah, Tiffany blue. Only Tiffany blue.
It's the color of the water in the Maldives. You know what I mean? That's the it hits different.
That's the only thing.
Sven, thank you for joining us. This was a pleasure. The talks, the book out from Fight On. It's in stores everywhere right now, correct?
Yes, it should be out worldwide, wherever they sell books.
The website is the-talks.com.
Correct.
The-talks.com. All right, we'll hit your line next time we're in Berlin, and we'll talk to you soon. Congratulations on the book.
Please do so. Thank you, guys.